Welcome to the Money Fit MD show. I'm Dr. Latifat, the founder of Money Fit MD.
We want to change the narrative
where women physicians use.
My job is to let you know that's gonna be. I have to surround myself with people that are doing crazy.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode with Dr. Latifat. I am super honored, excited, and cannot wait for you to meet my guest today. I have the honor and privilege of having Dr. Shilpi here. She is I would consider her a friend. She's one of the members of the Wealth Village and just all around a badass. You're going to learn things in this episode that has the potential to change your life. So make sure you listen. And I will tell you that I am interviewing her and I already know that I'm going to be listening to this episode. And so this is one of those episodes that you may want to listen to more than once, take notes, apply so that you can potentially change your life. So we are just going to go straight in. Dr. Shilpi, for those that don't know you, for those that haven't met you, just share with us some of what you would consider wins that you have created in your finances over the last couple of years.
My pleasure to be here, and I consider you a dear friend as well. Financial wins, I would just start out as maybe a list. We have a scholarship that's endowed at my alma mater medical school, and can talk more about that. Hitting our financial independence number and knowing what that is, thanks to all of the education from people like you and other. I just consume a lot of knowledge. And then the last one would be time freedom. I own a solo practice, but instead of letting it control my time, I've chosen to make it work exactly how I and my family need it.
When did you complete your medical training? How long have you been in practice now? Just for context for those that are listening to this.
I finished med school in 2004, residency in 2008, fellowship in 2009. And I opened my solo practice in 2015, and we're talking now in April 2026.
Wow. So 2015, we're talking 11 years.
Yes, 10 and a half.
10 and a half years. Would you say that you had those goals before you started your practice, or would you say that your practice helped you with accomplishing those time freedom, financial independence, and also being able to create the scholarship endowment fund that you have?
I do think I had those goals before I started the practice, but it wasn't as defined as it is now.
That's so awesome. And
I knew being an employed physician, I wouldn't be able to control my schedule the way I wanted, as well as what my kids needed.
were you scared of starting a solo practice with those goals?
I wasn't. I don't know. I wasn't scared. Once I decided, and I was just moving forward. I'm like, this is going to work. You build it, they will come. I had no worries. I know there's statistics that small businesses go out of business, but I just didn't have that worry. Maybe that was foolish. I don't know, and unrealistic, but I just moved forward.
I just move forward. You know, it's interesting that you asked a question of whether that's foolish or whatever. There is someone that I highly respect who I had on this podcast many moons ago, and one of the questions that I asked her was success leaves clues. Like many times she was like, someone said this or someone did this, and she said, why not me? And then she did it. And she's like, the person said it would work. I said, why not me? And then it worked. And many times I think our skepticism, we call it wisdom or whatever, can actually be what causes us to not accomplish the goals that we want to accomplish. So I think it's interesting that you also mentioned that as well.
Yeah, I mean, we do let fear hold us back from doing things, but I think one thing that coaching has helped me with, I didn't even discover coaching in 2015, but one thing coaching helped me with is like, once you decide, you just move forward. There's no wishy-washiness after the decision. You can do the pros and cons beforehand, and then if you need to change your decision, you move forward from where you are then. So I think I was telling you a funny story about when I ran a marathon in med school, when I used to be a runner, still possibly a runner, but I finished right before the cutoff for getting a medal at like 5 hours and 40 minutes, and in my photo, you can just see me kind of like super excited that I'm finishing. It looks like I'm winning the race, and there's a person behind me just looking at me super confused, like, we're finishing it super late, but I just keep going. I want to finish the race. I met my goal. My goal was to finish before 6 hours and get a medal, and that's what mattered to me. So I'm super happy that that's similar philosophy. And my friends made fun of me that, you look like you're, the first place winner. And I'm like, I was to me, because I met my goal.
So just keep going, just keep swimming until you accomplish your goal. Make the decision, and after the decision, stop being wishy washy. Is that correct?
Sure.
Because, guys, the thing is when you're listening to this podcast or you're listening to people like Dr. Shilpi, we're looking for the clues. Success leaves clues. These are the clues that I hope you're writing down. So let's talk a little bit about that scholarship fund. Like, what inspired that? Is that something you had always had in mind, or you were just walking down the street and like, ooh, would be nice, and then it happened?
Well, let me go back to the private practice before I answer the scholarship question. So when I first started, I did start kind of with the preconceived notion that I have to work from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. I have to see as many patients as possible. I have to work myself to the ground. That did help me build the practice. But especially when COVID hit, you realize how much you're giving up in healthcare, and your mental health and physical health. I don't know about you, but I was deathly afraid of getting COVID with all the fear that was in the media. That helped me reevaluate a lot of things in my life and change my schedule from going from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. to working from 9 to 4. And I was still able to make the same amount of income, just shifting strategies a little bit. And then as I had more children, I have 4 children now, we are blessed, I changed the schedule even more. And especially for surgeries, I started, instead of starting at 7 a.m. when the hospital wanted me to start, I said, nope, I can't start until 9. Or then I took the afternoon block and started at noon. So there are ways to accommodate what you need and what you want, and you just have to ask for it.
If you were starting again, would you have done that from the beginning, or do you think that there are seasons when you have to just pay the price, or would you have started this schedule from the beginning?
I think in your journey, you're a different person than you were before. So how can you say that you would have known to do this when you started? I think the knowledge wouldn't have been there. But I see what you're saying. For someone who, learning from my journey, if I had an example of this and not the preconceived notion of working yourself to the bone, then I would have started this way earlier. Yes.
And I love that you did say that you can do that. You did that and you were still earning the same income, because that opens up a possibility for people that having a different schedule does not mean that you have to earn less.
Yes. And I think the things that shifted were I was not as much following up on the denials, and that's a lot of lost money. And so even though I was working less, I built systems to follow up on insurance denials and things like that. And then once you fix some of the problems, which when you're too busy as a solo practitioner, you don't even see the problems, right? So slowing down COVID actually was, in a way, without all of the effect of society, but in a way it was so helpful to slow down.
You just dropped a big thing right there. And I like how you just pretended like that didn't happen. You said when you're too busy, you don't see the problem. We're just going to let that sink in for people that are listening, because our over busy, overworking, overscheduling life actually makes it hard for us to see the problem, solve the problem, and that can be a huge money leak, a huge life leak, huge network. Your busyness may be delaying your freedom.
Yes. I love that you said that. Keep going.
You said that. And it's something that I believe strongly. And that's why I say no physician should be working full time. But tell us about the scholarship. We want to hear that part too.
Okay. I was going to say one more follow-up is in COVID, I did decide to make my solo practice somewhat of a side gig as I started doing other things like writing and real estate. But let's go back in time to the scholarship. So In fellowship, again, I was too busy, too many problems. I became pregnant with twins, and I was working myself to the bone, running up and down stairs. 6 months pregnant with twins, and had contractions, and went in, and my doctor said, "Oh, you're fine." And then, of course, I was in preterm labor and lost those twins a week later. And that sent me into a very significant health spiral as well as mental spiral. I had bilateral de Quervain's tendonitis, where I had to finish fellowship in bilateral wrist braces and get steroid injections and eventually surgery for both wrists. And then I started that year, 2009, was so hard. With the loss of the twins, bilateral de Quervain's surgery, taking my ophthalmology written and oral boards and passing them, and taking 6 months off to deal with all of that between the end of fellowship and the start of my first job after fellowship. But I really didn't know how to process the loss very well, so I journaled and journaled and journaled. And I guess I just got a flyer about an endowed scholarship from somewhere, and I just decided, well, this would be a great way to honor the memory of our twins. So I called up my alma mater, Wash U in St. Louis, and I said, "Hey, do you guys do endowed scholarships where it would live on forever?" And they said they did, and there was a minimum amount of, at that time it was $50,000. I think it's $100,000 now to get an endowed scholarship. And I was like, okay, I still had over $100,000 in debt, student debt and loans, and to commit to another $50,000 for endowed scholarship. We thought about it for literally, I think, a week, and my husband and I were like, let's just do it. We'll figure it out. And we named it the Twin Angels Abhishek, which is my husband's last name, Pradhan, Endowed Scholarship. And it took us 7 years to fully fund it. As I was paying down student debt, I was paying into the Endowed Scholarship Fund, and we made it happen. And I love, once it was fully funded, so that was 2015-16, it's been given out annually to medical students at Wash U. And I think it's wonderful to have something that honors them, even though, I still remember my babies, although my life would have been very different, and God has blessed us with 4 living children now after that, which my maternal journey has been very long and complex as well. But I love that we were able to do that scholarship, and different people have reached out. Even the secretary at the alumni office was like, I've never seen anyone do a scholarship for in honoring babies, and can I donate to your scholarship? And I was like, absolutely. So I didn't realize the impact it would have. There's so many things that we don't realize the impact. I was doing it to heal myself. That was the only reason.
Thank you for sharing that with me, and thank you for sharing that with us. That gave me goosebumps. And I know that even you sharing that is going to inspire some other people to find ways to just take care of themselves, to heal. And sometimes on the other side of that, or in the process of that, some other gifts arise that you may not be aware. But I do want to point out that this is not a typical story for someone with student debt that is barely done with training to commit to giving money over the course of time. So there are some beliefs that are underlying that. And for those that are listening, beliefs are like the operating system behind what you see. So tell us, what are some of the beliefs that you may have had that has helped you, not only with that specific win that you just created out of a loss, but also some of the other things that you may have created. What are some beliefs that you have?
Just like I said before, just keep going forward. So for this, to accomplish the goal of the scholarship, it was just simple math, right? So we had $5,000 for the first few years, and then $7,000 after that, once I knew my husband would be done with fellowship, and then we totaled it up, divided by the 7 years that we had to finish the endowment, and we just divided by the months, and how much do we have to do per month, and we just figured it out. And there were other ways to make money in addition to our jobs, and we just sought out all of those ways. like surveys, which don't give you a lot of money, but we were maxing out everything we could to make our goals happen.
So you said find the simple math, keep going, find all the ways to earn money to help you towards the goal.
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you, your husband was on this. This was your idea and then he came on board. Were there times when you guys had differences? Did he think like this is a horrible idea? Why would you like this? Like, were there times you guys had difference of opinion when it comes to this vision or maybe some other visions that you guys have had?
He is an incredible man and incredibly supportive.
We'll send him this episode with that clip.
He's the love of my life, and my life would be totally different without him. So he enables majority of my ideas, but there are things that we talk through, and I have insight, thankfully, into things that I'm like, I don't know if this is a good idea or not. But when I'm convinced that it is a good idea, like the scholarship, he doesn't really question it. He supports me fully. And I support him in whatever he wants to do. So they say the most important financial decision you make is your spouse, like who you're going to marry as a spouse. And I think that's not just a financial decision. It's like mental health decision, life decision. You have to support each other.
How did you guys meet? I'm curious.
Internship.
Internship, okay. All right. And he's a physician as well?
Yes.
What kind of medicine does he practice?
Hematology, oncology.
Hematology. Okay, all right, fantastic. So, guys, y'all need to like pay me right now because I'm doing the job of like extracting the gold for you. So, supporting each other is a core thing that you guys need to do. Supporting each other, marrying the right person, finding the right person, or at least attempting to find the right person is one of the most important decisions that you'll make for your financial, mental, and overall life. And I love that you said having someone that enables majority of your ideas. Guys, these are success tips. Finding someone that enables majority, not all. You don't want someone that's going to be like all sure and like let you drive your family down a cliff, right? But like majority of your ideas. So thank you for sharing that.
And having insight into the ideas that you should realize are crazy.
Is that something that you can develop? Is that something that people can develop? The ability to develop insight?
There is a way to develop that. The more educated you are and the more aware you are of everything and trying to think about pros and cons of all decisions. Yes, I mean, not every decision, because, you should be able to go on vacation, and once you've decided that the vacation is a good idea, you don't think about all the little decisions. Oh, should we not go out to dinner? Should we, whatever, should we get really cheap food? Like, just decide to go on a vacation, have a budget, but then don't worry about the rest of the decisions. Enjoy the vacation.
You mentioned something earlier, and I want us to go back to this, where I talked about, the math. And many times when people think about money, yes, the math is important, but it's not the only thing that is important. You said keeping the math simple, simplify the math, and I'm 100% with you on that. What would you say are some strategies or principles outside of the belief that has helped you in terms of accomplishing life freedom, time freedom, financial freedom, or financial independence? What are some strategies you would share?
Consistency. I think you always talk about consistency. So when we started real estate, when I slowed down in COVID in 2021, we just decided like, what are our goals for passive income monthly? And then you buy a property, figure out the cash flow, then you buy another property, figure out the cash flow, you deal with the problems, you learn from each property what mistakes you made in the last one, what renovation mistakes, what purchase mistakes, and you try not to make those same mistakes again. You can't be mistake free. It's impossible. So the strategies would be consistency. Consistently investing, like you say. You set aside whatever money that you have for investing and consistently invest that. Don't just let it sit in your bank account.
Consistency. That's a big one. Tell us one or two more.
I was thinking of one more and it slipped my mind now.
Let me go back to the finding multiple ways because that's a theme that's come up for you. And yes, I don't like surveys. In fact, I did an episode right before this with a guest, and I was like,
That one.
"Dude, surveys, no surveys." But I love that you did it based on the season that you were on. So I think we should talk about like finding other sources of income outside of your clinical work based on the season that you're in, because you've done that.
So back then, another one that we did, other than surveys, was a sermo. I don't know if you have heard of sermo, but they had these little mini talks, like 5 to 10 minute talks, and they would pay you a good amount of money to do a talk. And so I did so many mini talks for them during the time that I was recovering from my wrist surgeries and studying for board exams, and that was a nice sum of money. But right now, and since I think 2022, it also started in COVID, or 2021, my daughter wrote a wonderful story called Tara the Dolphin, and everyone thought that she should publish it. So during the time we had at home, she illustrated it, and I helped her. I learned how to self-publish on Amazon and helped her self-publish it. And I thought it would just be a really cool project, but it's had so many ripple effects. Moms and reaching out saying that just because my child saw your daughter's book, now they have a new belief that a child can publish a book, and that has inspired them to write and possibly publish. And I've helped a few other kids publish books at no charge to that family, but that was not even the intent of the idea. It was just to help my daughter do a book, but the ripple effects of inspiring a whole generation of kids to write books is amazing and unexpected. And I helped, after that, I was like, well, I should write a book. And I wrote a book about dry eye, and then we compiled a book of 33 physician stories about how lifestyle medicine transformed our lives. But to your question, it is a source of income, passive income. So it's sold on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles through Ingram Spark, and I get money deposited into my bank account from her book sales, my book sales. Monthly, I put her money into her Roth IRA. My son has done a book, and they're building this Roth IRA that they don't even know about. I mean, they know they have a Roth IRA. They vaguely know that there's some money in it, but they, it's great that there is some passive income building there, and I get to educate people and help people around the world. I've had people reach out and do telemed consults with me for dry eye in Arizona, California, and Ireland. I mean, just because I decided to write a book about dry eyes, inspired by my daughter. So many ripple effects from a simple little project while we were home with COVID, from COVID, the pandemic.
So awesome. And I love that now this is going beyond you to the next generation. And the pride of writing a book, publishing a book that a child has, that now has a secondary effect of now creating money that's working for itself through investment in a Roth IRA that they will probably find helpful in 10 years, in 20 years, in 30 years, in 40 years. That is generational wealth. That is generational wealth. Let me ask you this question, and I wasn't planning on, but share with us I talk a lot about the rich life, living your rich life. What do you consider as your rich life? What are the moments in your life that you consider rich right now?
Just the time spent with my kids. I think being a slightly older parent, because I had the youngest two in my 40s, you do appreciate them in a whole different way. There's not the same stress as being a younger parent, because I have a range of kids from 15 to 4. So, and some of their just quirkiness or mini tantrums, I just laugh and hug them instead of, getting upset. And my oldest is like, well, the youngest never goes in timeout. And I'm like, that's true. And it's not because she's the baby. Maybe it is a little, but it's because I'm an older, more patient, and I'm just enjoying life, watching her joy and watching life through her eyes. It's just different. So I wish I could go back and do that with my oldest and when I was a younger parent and just more stressed out in general. But again, it's a learning process, and you change as you learn.
Change as you learn. I love that. So spending time And I love that you said that, because I think sometimes in this world that we're in, the pendulum can swing so strongly where saying and enjoying the richness of time with your kids and being able to practice medicine and being able to create all this passive income and being able to, like, still have your clinical practice and give, like, that is wealth. That is wealth. And the fact that you get to choose what that is for you, that ability to choose, that is wealth. And I have to say, as someone that has, been in your sphere now for a couple of years, it has been amazing to witness that and just be a part of seeing this woman continue to be this woman, this crazy woman that was paying down her student loans and also promising scholarship funds at the same time. Right? But I want to ask you, so you've been a part of MoneyFit MD now for, I don't know, 3 years, 4 years probably.
I don't remember.
I don't remember either, but time flies. Well, I'm curious, for those that are listening, like, what was it that made you consider, like, what was it about that was happening for you that made you think, okay, I want to sign up for that and be a part of that?
You, you're just so inspiring, and you have so much wisdom. But I also feel like there's so much to learn from everyone, right? I never, even as a resident or when other residents would treat like med students as inferior or whatever, as our attendings would treat residents as inferior, I've never done that. I mean, I was associate professor at St. Louis University for almost a year as well in 2012. But I always treated everyone equally. Like, they're gonna graduate. They're gonna be your equal colleague eventually. And whether or not they have lived a different life, they have a different knowledge base. And I think you can learn from anyone. I can learn from my 10-year-old. I can learn from a 20-year-old that I met. So I just like learning and improving myself. So when you were talking about your coaching and your Wealth Village, I was like, I gotta learn this. I know some, but there's always more you can learn. So, and you're very peaceful, and I need more peace in my life too. And during the coaching, you probably talked me through the renewal process. Since I'm 10 years into the practice, I had a 10-year lease, and I debated. I was like, oh, should I retire? Should I not retire? Should I renew my lease? And I did renew my lease, because seeing patients, even though I don't have to, I choose to, gives me mental clarity, and I love helping people, and you do too. So that's why I joined.
I love
continue
it.
to stay.
And continue to stay. Yeah.
In terms of coaching, like we all know, if you're in the coaching world, everyone has coaches, like baseball players and basketball players. Why don't physicians have coaches? We should, and I do. I have a few coaches, and you're one of the most important ones. Yeah, and even I think Atul Gawande, I hope I'm not getting the people mixed up, but I think he talks about how he hired a coach to help him in his practice, another retired physician, to come in and help see like what could be improved, what could be done better. Because once you get set in your ways, if you don't look for ways to improve, then you won't see them. You have to look for you have to be open to looking and changing to even see the next steps.
It's interesting. And thanks for sharing, like, the humility in learning, I think, is something that many physicians don't necessarily understand is a key principle for wealth building. I am grateful that I've created the things that I've created. I have friends that I listen to their podcasts. And I listen to their podcast. My kids listen to their podcast, and they listen to my podcast. And literally, they would send pictures, like, from the YouTube, and go like, "Guess what I'm watching right now? Guess what I'm looking at right now?" With a picture of me, and I would do the same. Guess what I'm listening? Oh, I love this episode. So much wisdom. Because the truth is, the humility of learning will make you a lot of money, will give you peace, will help you avoid mistakes that you don't need to make. But there's a humility that is required, because I see you like you're like, I've achieved financial freedom, I've achieved time freedom, and you show up for, maybe I would say, at least 70% of our coaching calls. What is the belief behind that for you? Is there any other belief?
I'm sorry, you broke up a little bit. Can you repeat the question?
My question is, you show up for about 70% or more of our coaching calls.
I just want to be surrounded by colleagues, see if I can learn anything additional and if I can offer any support as well as advice from everyone's life experience is so different. But we can still all learn from each other, and I've gotten so many great friends from this community that you've built. I don't know.
It's been an honor.
Just show up if I can. You never know what's going to happen.
You never know. So if someone is watching right now and they're like, okay, Latifat has talked about the Wealth Village. She's talked about, Money Fit MD. I've been listening to the podcast. I've been learning. And they're like, should I? Like, I'm considering coming and joining. Like, any words of wisdoms to help them make that decision. And sometimes the decision is no, but sometimes the decision is yes. Like, what are some wisdom that you've gained over the last couple of years that may help them?
I mean, everyone has to evaluate what's the right fit for them, right? You're not gonna get along with everybody. Who are you gonna get along with? Who are you gonna be open to learning from, collaborating with, growing together with? And if it doesn't work, then, you shift gears. But if you have to start with the belief that it's gonna work to start.
I've enjoyed this so much. And I knew that I was going to enjoy it. I knew there was going to be so many nuggets, but this is like a gumbo of wisdom that you just dropped here today. And I want to say on behalf of myself, our listeners, thank you for sharing such great wisdom. Thank you for being the amazing, crazy human that you are, because the things that you've done is going to give at least 10 people, at the very minimum, I know for a fact, 10 people the permission they did not know they needed in order to say yes to something that they are now going to create. And some of them will message us. And if they do, I'll let you know. Some will, guys, send me a message on Facebook, a DM, Dr. Shilpi, how can they find you? So they can even send you messages directly as well.
I think through you would be great.
All right. Through me would be great.
Facebook a lot, so I've been cutting out my social media quite a bit. But, for medical questions, I will do educational consults through my practice, of course. But for friend or other questions, I would say through you and maybe through the community.
And what is the website to find you for medical consultations, or if they want support with publishing their book? Maybe now their kids like, Mama, Dada, I can't write a book. I want support with that. Like, where can they find you for those sort of questions?
That would be lovely. I love helping kids get a book in their hands that they have their name on. So my medical practice website is www.idoctormd.org. And then our transformational lifestyle medicine website with author interviews, and the book is howhealersheal.com. And then the publication website is pradhanpublications.com.
So good. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for all you do. And I'm looking forward to all the amazing things you will continue to do, because you're not even close to being done yet. So.
Not. And thank you for being a part of my journey and being my friend.
My pleasure. I enjoy being both very, very, very deeply. And guys, if this episode has been helpful for you, go ahead and share with more people. We want more people living their best life. And leave us a review on whatever platform you're listening to. If it's on YouTube, let us know in the comments what you like about this. And if you're listening on, Apple Podcasts, be sure to leave us a review, and I will make sure I share with Dr. Shilpi. Thank you guys, and see you in the next episode. Goodbye.